Hello, hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Shuffling, moving, grooving. All right, looks good. My Twitch is running and it seems like it's going straight to my phone, so we are good to go. Let me get this switched over. You may be surprised by the cuteness or not. She also looks kind of scary. All right. Hello, welcome back to another set of streams this week, or I guess the end of this week. We are at the end, the home stretch here. Tonight will be the last painting that happens on this figure, and then on Tuesday, next Tuesday, we will be assembling this figure and getting her all done. So, still not quite at a point where we're completely done with this one. There are a couple of layers that I'm gonna have to put on. I will explain what I will be doing tonight, as well as what I'll be doing over this weekend in order to keep us on schedule, because unfortunately there are a couple more layers that I'll need to put on. But as you can see here, we have fabulous Mero-chan with some scary eyes. I've already put on some paint, but we are looking very close to this image. I am very happy so far. Here are the colors and here is her face. You can see it's very, very close to the original color scheme, and as I put on the hair, it's even more so. Let's see. There we go. So she is looking fine and fabulous, and I'm very happy so far. We'll be more happy when she's done, but I guess to summarize what I did yesterday, it's hard to believe it's only Thursday. Time is moving quickly and then not so quickly at the same time. So to summarize what we did last time, I believe we applied the base coat of the paint. So I'm only going to use Mero as a reference here because this face is still drying a little bit. And so I believe that we put on the orange here on her eyes. And was that it? I don't remember anything else we did. That might have been all that we did. Oh, I think we started the mouth. So I'm getting confused here because her mouth is closed in this image, but it's open on the figure. And so we also applied some outline onto her mouth. All of that has been completed at this point. I cleaned up, all the orange. I cleaned up all the mouth. And then on Wednesday, so yesterday, I went ahead and I applied the second layer of orange as well as the shadings that are on her eyes. And so specifically, if I'm zooming in here, there's a secondary color of orange right here and right here and here. And so I went ahead and I put that base coat on. I did not airbrush it, I just layered it on, hand painted. And then I actually airbrushed on the shadows here. And so if you look closely, there's some white of Mero's eyes, and there's a little secondary color up top here. This is a shading that's pretty typical in anime kits, and it's just kind of gives the eyes a little bit more depth. And so I went ahead and added both the orange, darker orange, and this kind of shadow color. And so tonight, what we will very specifically be focusing on, I don't have any other plans other than this, and so the stream might be a little shorter. We are going to tackle this part, so this round red eye here. We're not going to handle this kind of red up here because if you can tell in this image, it looks like it layers over it. And so what I'm thinking I'm going to do is we'll get this layer, circle filled in, and then I will airbrush over that and see how that looks. Otherwise, I'll figure something else out. And then on my own, over the weekend, I will be applying this kind of yellow dot here and the final eye shine. So there's really only 3 more things that these eyes need. Needs this, well, I guess after today, needs this top red part, this yellow, and then this white here. And so the other thing that we'll be doing today, besides the eyes, is working on her cheeks. So she has these little circular cheeks, cheek blush. And so this is a pretty typical thing that some chibi anime kits have. You can choose whether or not you want to do this on your own kits. I've done it on some, I haven't done it on others, and so this one in particular does have the kind of ovally cheek blush that a lot of chibi kits have. And so we will also, after we wrap up the eyes, this circular part of the eye, we will be painting on this and then rounding that out. And that's really all I have planned tonight. Again, this is the last eye painting stream that will happen, and basically the second to last stream before we assemble. So everything else is done at this point. It's just this face. That's how I end up rolling with this. So I did do a little bit of work prior to beginning the stream just so we could stay on track, and in case I mess up this kind of round eye part, I pre-mixed some color. So this is the reddish color that is used in the middle of the eye here. And I have already put it on Mero-chan. And so if we zoom in on the face finally, you can see she's got the 2-layer of orange, the shadows up at the top here. And then tonight we'll be rounding out this red color. Right now it's kind of spooky. She's got this uneven circular eye. That obviously is going to be changed as we're moving forward tonight. And then we will add the circular blush. I have already pre-mixed this blush color as well. This is actually like a variation of the cherry blossom color that we put on earlier. And I might need to add more white to this. I just kind of mixed it in a hurry, and so I'm not really sure how this will look on her skin. So we might need to do some slight color changes for that. But without further ado, let's just get started tonight, because it could be long or short depending on how I go and how it goes. So excited. This is like the time where it really starts to come together and you start to see the face coming together. I guess I just said that twice, but okay. I know I just put this glove on, but I consistently found that last time I put that on, it was kind of like I didn't have a good grip on the figure. So, all right. So I will be looking at her eye reference here and there, just to make sure I'm on the right track, because a lot of times I start out and I make this kind of circular shape way too big, and so it looks like it's pretty evenly in the middle there. It's not circular, it's actually a little bit ovalish. There's also enough room for the eye shine that I have to account for, and it's a little bit, I guess it's kind of up to interpretation, because on this side the image, it's a little bit wider than on this side, and then this side is a little bit less wide. So I think what happens here is that this side, so either side, let's see if I can get it. So either side of these will be a little bit wider than the inner corners of her eye. That's just something I want to keep in mind. It also looks like the eye shine, in terms of positioning, this is always important to note, is where the eye shine falls and where the details fall, because if you're adding future layers, you don't want to like interfere with that. And so if we're looking specifically at this eye here, you can see that the circle just barely touches this red portion here. This is actually like a pretty well-defined eye. You have the circle in the middle, you have this circle here that just barely rubs up against this red one, and the eye shine rubs up against it as well, but it doesn't cross over into that red eye. Show it up close so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So when we're crafting this eye and we're you know, whittling down the color, we'll have to be mindful of how big this placement is, because then that'll judge how big this eye shine will be, this eye shine. I think that's it. That's all I wanted to make a note of that. But just looking at your anime eye and figuring out the proportions of it, especially when you're hand painting, is very important, because that could make or break the character. And so just little things like that you want to take account of. This image is not the perfect one either, because she's looking right at the camera, and the figure itself, like the Mero-chan reference, isn't doing that. And this one, of course, is a little bit different from this as well, because, you know, the colors are different, and this is, I think this one was also hand painted, and so in the end we're doing our own thing. But yeah, that's what I'll be kind of looking at and positioning and making sure of. I have the image facing me right now, so let's get this going. All right, so I think I'm gonna work on this eye first. There will be times I'm probably going to put it down like this. And actually, let me make sure my camera is auto-focusing. There we go. Okay. Let's see if this works. If I put it here, will it still focus, or will it focus on my hand? Okay, I'm gonna try to lift it up and put it down so that way you guys can see all of what I'm doing, but there may be portions of this where I put it on the paper towel so I can angle it a little better and see a little better. Like I mentioned in the last stream, once you, you know, get this far, the time gets shorter and shorter. Unless, of course, you aren't painting the face last and you have other things to do. But yeah, I hope everyone having a good week. I have done a lot over the spring break. Not a lot of the stuff I needed to do, but I've done a lot of painting. Done a lot of other part-time work, so. Alright. I'm gonna move kind of slow here as I'm doing this because I don't want to wipe too much away. If I do, then it's gonna screw up the whole eye and I might have to wipe it off. I also put 2 layers of this kind of red color on top here because I could kind of see underneath the first layer. So basically I just applied 1 layer and then let it dry and applied another layer of that red. But I can still kind of see it, but I also think that might just be the ridge of the paint because I did put this secondary orange on top a little bit heavy, so. Oh, there's also like a persistent hair in that. Okay. We shouldn't be wiping off any of the base orange or the secondary orange because I put on a pretty thick layer. But we'll see. There looked like there was some stuff going on here, so it might have been a hair or something. Okay. And I did start kind of big here, mainly because then it's easier for me to slowly whittle down the shape. And that way I get a nice kind of oval. Usually what I do is I get the oval roughly the right shape even if it's too big, and then from there I kind of slowly work it. Because right now it's just got all these raw edges from the paint. I also haven't put on that 3rd layer, so something there. Another thing to keep in mind is since this figure is like looking at us, we'll have to, so like it's kind of looking like that, we'll have to adjust the eye and circle in the middle to account for that. lot that's gonna need to be wiped away. I'm going really slow here, but looking at that image, it's a pretty small area. Every now and then I'll bring in my sponge and do a wipe up. Oops, something here, something just made its way in here. Let's see. Don't know. I think I'm gonna start focusing on this side. I'm gonna put this down for just a bit. Oh, there's that hair. Okay. Or a hair. Dang it. I think I pulled it. Oh, nope, I did not. Where did it go? Let's see. Stubborn. There we go. Okay. And I have my 20. I think that got it. I was wondering where that hair was, so. Okay, now I can safely continue. Okay. starting to slowly work out that left side to make sure that it's a little bit wider than the other side, as she's gonna be kind of facing the viewer. Her eye should be directed that way. Sometimes I'm really good at getting this in the first shot, and other times it seems like it takes me forever, so we'll see what it is tonight. If it ends up taking too long, then I'll just do it on my own time. But hopefully you can see it starting to come together. Wiped off. And it doesn't have to be just like the image. It just has to be however I decide I want it. I have to look at the original build too and see how big they made this. She actually made that section pretty large, if I'm being honest. But it still follows the same basic format that I explained earlier tonight, with the yellows matching up and all of that. I think, let's see. Okay, I can probably raise this up a little bit then. Oh yeah, that's better. Hey, how you doing, Meds? Thanks for stopping by. Thank you. Yeah, I think she's really coming together. She's looking pretty close to the art so far. We'll get there-ish. At least the essence will be there, if not the rest of it. There we go. I want her to be the picture of cuteness, since that's what I do. Also, the blossoms here are starting to prop up. I think in the next couple weeks they're gonna be in full bloom, so I am glad we made it in time. Gonna take some photos of her inside a cherry blossom tree if I can, or some sort of blooming tree. As for when those photos will come out, that'll be a while. Still trying to make it through my commission photos at this point, so unfortunately I haven't really posted anything about this figure on my social media. So that will all, you know, for those of you guys who have been watching, sorry if it's a repeat of that, but I also tried to keep some of this separate because this figure will be a gift for my mom, and she does not follow me on Twitch. She does not know how to use Twitch, but she does follow me on Facebook, and so I do not want her to see this until it's at her doorstep. But yeah, they'll all come eventually. That photo shoot will come sometime in the spring. I'm just planning to post all of the Galwain stuff first. since that's moving along as well. All right, we're getting better and better here, so. Hey, how you doing, Custard? Thanks for stopping by. All right, starting to see her kind of shifting her gaze toward me. If I'm doing it at the camera, it would be like that. So it's getting there. Although again, this iris is so small. I think what I might do is once I'm kind of roughly happy with this one, but it's still a little bit big, I'm gonna go over to this other side and start it and then shift the, I don't know how to say it. I'll just like erase here and there as we move on. Basically, I want both sides to be the same before I start making minor tuning and adjustments. Also, there's something here. I don't know what this is. Let me see if I can. Is that a hair? No, don't know what that is. All right, well. Kind of tilting it and moving it so I can try to figure out why this side was uneven. There we go. Sometimes you just have to switch your angle up. It just looks like it's, I think because there's a ridge here, it looks slightly uneven, but when I put it to the side, it looks totally fine. So, I don't know. Maybe cleaning it up will help a little. Oh yeah, that does help. Something here. Hair, I think. I think I pulled it out. I guess that's also a benefit of airbrushing that I'm noticing, because when I do hand paint like this, no matter what, it seems like I tend to get a micro hair here and there stuck in, kind of like if you're just hand painting with acrylics or whatever. Whereas when you airbrush, you don't get any of that and the layer goes on so flat. So I can see the appeal now. But I think it will really depend on how big your eye socket is too. A lot of times I'm working with these mini kits. Hey, thank you, Jen. Thanks so much. Glad to see you. I feel like it's been a while. Hope you've been doing well. Yeah, she is coming together. But yeah, what was I saying? These mini kits, like these small ones that I always work on, I just feel like a lot of times, even though I have this small airbrush, I can't get the level of detail I want. I think it's just, I need a little bit more control over it. I'm getting better with it. I've only recently started airbrushing enamels, so. Okay, let's see. So I'm starting to shift her gaze here. I'm liking where it's going. I think what we're gonna do is shift over to this other eye for now and then come back and start making them smaller, because I'll compare it right now. And you can see that in the image, her eye is still pretty, like that red is pretty small. And also, like it's more focused up, so we need to remove a little bit more of the bottom portion here that's on the orange. Make more room for that little circle. Let's see, it's been crazy at work, but changing jobs soon. Oh man, congrats on the job change. And that's good. Working from home is always like, as long as you don't have a long commute or anything, that's much less stressful, I guess I should say. Ever since I started working from home, it's a lot better than having to spend all your time commuting here and there. Okay, just had to check that. All right, so let's start focusing on this other one and just kind of getting the shape roughly the same at least, so that way it just doesn't look like she has one crazy eye and one not crazy eye. This time, yeah, let me just double check. Okay, I guess it doesn't matter too much, but I do want her eye again to focus on kind of looking towards the viewer. And so I'm gonna do the same thing where it's kind of, there's more room on this left here. Although looking at it, this is closer than this. So we'll see how this goes. Might need to reapply this red layer when it's all done, but we'll see. Okay. There's a lot up here that can be trimmed. Okay. here is definitely more oval than the other one. Which means I need to either make it less oval or make the other one more oval. That's fine. That's why we start out with these big eyes. Oops, something. Sorry for not talking too much tonight, guys. This is generally where I get like hyper focused, and so I'm sure you don't want to hear me the whole time anyway. Alright. Liking how this one is more oval. I think that's also more, actually I don't know. I think overall this one needs to be shortened then. This eye is also a little bit longer now that I look at it. I think that's just the sculpt itself. May not be super noticeable, but if I put, it's hard to say. If I put a Q-tip here, it's gonna be a little bit lower on this side. I don't know if you guys can tell. One eye is just a little bit longer than the other one, and that's part of the sculpt, I think. That, or I ended up painting one eye slightly bigger than the other, which is fine. That also happens, but I would have to check the sculpt and see. Wouldn't be the first time I've gotten to a sculpt that has two differently shaped eye sockets. It's probably me, but that's fine. But because of that, you want to be mindful of the position of things as well. Yeah, exactly. That's how I think of it. Like, I can't get eyebrows exactly the same. That's fine. Eyebrows are different on everyone too. Same with, you know, lots of features. And honestly, if it does have a little bit of imperfection, I think that makes it a little bit more realistic. Sometimes you get these like blender sculpts that are perfectly symmetrical, and on like human things that can sometimes be a little weird because we're not all perfectly symmetrical, so. Okay. Let me, after I round this out a bit, I'm gonna take a step back and look at it because okay, this one is definitely too high, and this one can be, yep, exactly. The uncanny valley is real for sure. Let's round this side out a little more then. From here on, it's kind of like fine tuning until I'm happy. There is a hair here, I see it. I think I might have got it. I think I also said that last time though. Oh yeah, okay. Buddy. There we go. Got it. Man, here too? We'll see. Yep. Oh, that could be red. Let's see. Yeah, it's probably just red that I pulled out. So you make me want to work on my kits. I'm halfway through a bunch of customs and commissions, and you had an exhibition every Friday the past 4 weeks. Oh my gosh, you've been very busy then. Wow. Yeah, no pressure then on working on kits for sure. You've got real work. Kits are like a fun side thing anyway, but I hope that you get some time eventually to enjoy your collection and work on some stuff. I definitely have like so many things that I want to build and work on. It's just, oh, there's just not enough time in the day. I'm sure you understand. There's so much to do, and I just want to paint all day. All right, let's continue. Okay, I'm starting to see it. So it may look like it's a weird angle. I'm positioning it so it's like she's looking at me. And so I guess from the camera it looks kind of, like it's a top down, but you want to be painting your face also, like it's going to be facing the direction that you want it to be facing. So when I'm looking at her head on, I can see what needs to change. Love shows, but it's just been too many too fast. Yeah, seriously. Well, and also, given the lack of shows over the past, 2 years, I'm sure there's this pressure to attend and, do as many as you can, because who knows the future and all that. Just don't burn yourself out. I guess that's what I would say, because going to those types of events is so exhausting. I say that as both a con goer and participant occasionally back in the day. Cons wear me out so quickly. I'm already tired and introverted as is, but I go to a con and I last a couple hours and then I'm Alright, I need to like go away. I don't last very long. Okay, there we go. Starting to see you. I see you, Mero-chan. Ooh, careful. So we're starting another wave of Omicron. Oh no. I'm sorry to hear that. Things here have finally kind of let down, but there's always that risk, right? And so, you know, I hope that it gets contained and ends quickly. I still don't feel like super comfortable taking off my mask everywhere. I'm trying to get better at it. And there had been like a time, basically we have no more mask mandates where I'm at, but it's optional. And, you know, you still see people wearing them here and there. But if you, like, I've forgotten it once or twice and I was like, oh my God, I forgot it. But then it was okay. And so it's things like that. It's like the panic of forgetting your mask because there's been a mandate for so long. Okay, this eye I'm starting to like. It's the other one that's kind of like, it's a little bit more squished. I don't know if it's obvious. Oh yeah, I guess when I think about it, we do have, the mandate is still in place, I think, for public transport, like, you know, buses and stuff. Grab this. Come on. Here. There we go. Big groups and events. Yeah, so I'm going to a concert. Oh shit. I just realized. I don't think we'll be able to have the stream next Tuesday. I completely forgot about this. Oh my God, you guys. So I'm going to a concert that I booked back in December on Tuesday night. I literally just remembered this. I have it in my planner and everything. Oh man. Okay, so what we'll have to do is we'll push the building onto Thursday because I literally will not be able to stream. I will be at a concert on Tuesday night. I'll make an announcement on Twitter. I literally just remembered. I'm so sorry. You know, speaking of events and going out, yeah, that's what will be happening. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I purchased the tickets a long time ago, and so it's not something that I can put off. Oh my gosh, I feel so silly now. I can't believe I didn't realize that earlier. That's fine. More time to wrap up Mero if needed. There's no real super rush here, so. Okay, where are you going, Mero? What are you looking like? Squash. This side is like pretty even, so. Alright, I think I'm gonna start making this smaller and smaller now. think I've mentioned it before, but there's a line where you go from it being a cute kind of pupil into something that looks a little wild and crazy, and like yandere deer in headlights. And so we're not at that point yet, and hopefully we don't get to that point, but this is also why I start a little bit larger and then work my way smaller. Really liking this left one. It's this one that's bothering me. Trying to figure out why though. I think it's also too, let me look at this back. This one is still taller and a little bit squashed here. Okay. All right, sorry. Need some cutting down over here. And this also needs more cutting down. Angle. There we go. I think something just snuck its way in there too. There we go. And now it may seem kind of boring, but I always spend a lot of time on these steps because this is what matters. Oh my gosh, I can't get this little hair out. Just leave that mark there for now. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing it. I just have to start shaving down this side more now. Oh, there we go. Okay. There you go. Mero, I see you. One of the favorite parts of all my building, and what makes it like worth it to me, is when you see the figure looking back at you, and when you add that final eye shine, like, I don't know how to describe it. There's like a moment where you feel very proud, and it seems like it comes to life, and it just looks like, you know, oh my gosh, you know, I painted at this, it's staring back at me. And that's kind of why, there's many reasons why I build and paint these kits, but I get a lot of satisfaction from that, and it makes me genuinely happy. So the fact that I'm like starting to see it here, you know, obviously she still has a ways to go, but I can see her looking back a little like that. It's lighting that spark. Yeah, you know the feeling too, right, Jen? Yeah. It's like that proudness of something that came from your own hands, and all this hard work that you put into something is like finally coming to fruition. Still a little more we can do over here. Ooh, got that one. That would have been bad, huh? Just because of this angle. I'm gonna take my pointy Q-tip and very gently go along here. I still feel like there's this hair here. It might have peeled off too much, but no, I think we're still good. Maybe. Suck up some of this. Might need to add a bit more enamel back in. Actually, there we go. I think as long as the red circles match up, meaning the bottom matches up with this one, then we'll be okay. I do want to get to those little cheek circles tonight though, so we might just stop at some point and I'll finish it and then can move on to the circles. I usually don't mess with that Q-tip that much anymore, especially when you're pan painting it because it kind of digs into the layer, but sometimes it's good for rounding stuff out if you have a particularly like pointy corner. Just want to make sure there's like enough thinner, otherwise it's just gonna eat into the enamel. There we go, okay. Just cleaning up some of the surrounding area. Make sure that there's no orange streaks because that kind of interferes with the look And also want to get them off all the cheeks, her cheekbones and such. Because if you seal that, then you're going to be left with orange streaks, and that's no good either, so. Okay. We are getting to a point where I'm almost happy with it for now, and then I think I'll fine tune it on my own when I have a better angle. So we can move on to her little cheek circles. Sometimes what I also do is put an outline, and so like you have your circle here, you know, for the pupil or whatever, and then I put a very thin outline around that, and that kind of hides any raw surfaces or edges, but it also is used in certain eye styles, and so it kind of depends on your eye style. In this case, we're not going to do that because that's not the same as this, so we'll just try to keep this eye style as close as we can in terms of at least the basic layout. Position and size of things are already a little different than that image, so I'm not following it too closely. Okay, actually, wait, that almost spoke out to me. That sounds weird. Let's put on her hair for a check. Oh yeah. Coming together. You can see, like, there's a pseudo eye shine. If I do it at the right angle, you can kind of see what it would look like. She'll have glossy eyes, and so, you know, that will also help. But her eye shine was like up here in that corner. It's actually gonna be like down here in the kind of middle part, because right here is where the eye shine is. Usually, like, there's different places you can put eye shine too. A lot of times you see it up in like the upper left corner of the eye, you know, sometimes in the middle. Sometimes they don't have any eye shine, or it's like even in the lower part, like Chi from Chobits. She's the only first one that comes to mind. She has like an eye shine down here in the bottom left. So there's like a million ways and more that you could paint anime eyes. It honestly just comes down to, you know, are you painting a character? Are you painting an original character of your own? How do you want to do it, you know? It's just kind of, if I'm painting an actual, like, anime character, I do tend to try to follow a certain style. Whether, you know, sometimes they have different styles depending on the artwork. So if I'm doing my own thing, I figure it out. Otherwise, I just ask the client how they want the eye style. This is pretty close, I think. If I turn it upside down, well, if I turn it upside down, it's pretty close too. Let's round this out just a little more. There we go. I think I lost my train of thought there. But basically, if you have references, you'll be fine. You just kind of have to look at them. And if you don't have references, then go crazy. Okay. I'm gonna cut down the height just a little bit on this one. And then I think for now we'll move on, because it's still a cute eye. I may or may not make it a little smaller. But the important thing is that they kind of match. And there's also been plenty of times where I was like, oh, it's good, but I can do this. And then I go a little too far and I end up messing it up. So, you know, everybody does it at some point. So if you end up doing that and you get discouraged, don't worry. The good thing is you can always repaint. Okay. Okay, gonna do one wipe up and then look at this again. It is coming together how I like it, so I think probably be good to move on for tonight, but just kind of FYI, it might look different in the final stream depending on how I decide to wrap up this eye. It's kind of like this one is more rounded now. Let's see right here. Yeah, it's mostly this one, this side that's giving me trouble. But I think, let's see. Yeah, let's just move on for now. So her eyes aren't bad by any means, and they're mostly done. There's just, I get really, really picky about placement and how equal they look. And so, you know, this is definitely passing. But there could be some improvements here in terms of like how big they are, if they look the same, etc. This one is just like a tiny bit wider at the top, and it looks a little bit higher and also kind of squished out, and so there'll be a few things I'm gonna do to change it. But for now, let's move on. The other thing we were planning to do tonight is work on the cheek blush, and so we're gonna get that laid down. Same kind of deal, we're gonna just put down some pink color and then let it briefly dry, and I guess during that time I can keep working on the eye. And then once that's dry, we'll start rounding it out, and then whatever happens tonight, that's how it will be. So let me clean up I have a big brush here that I used to get this red wet. It might take a little bit of time to clean it up. I have a really dirty pot of enamel here I'm wiping it into. I also have a not so dirty pile that I'm gonna use to kind of wipe everything off. This is my beat up brush, so I don't really use this for anything other than just mixing these days. It's essentially just like a mixer. All right. So I'm gonna need some more enamel since this is dirty. And oh, I'm actually out of cups. So let me grab a cup real quick. Oh, I like it. Laying boy. Alright, so I'm just grabbing some thinner. I'm gonna move this face because you never know. Yeah, rock it. Okay. Alright, and this is a little dirty, so let's clean that out. Put some new thinner in. Okay. And with this new thinner, we're gonna mix up this pink. I'm not sure how this final color was. I forgot. I mixed it a while ago. And again, as I said earlier in the stream, this is a variation on that Sakura pink blossom that we painted. I don't have it with me right now. It's actually sitting up on my desk and my bench, whoops, to protect it from everything. But I took that color and just applied a ton of white into it. I almost cursed. To kind of lighten it up. This was the original color here, as you can see. And I'm basically out of these mixing cups I have 2 projects going right now, and so even though I have a ton of cups, I am out. And so I've been trying to get pretty creative and just use the same color and line it up, and sometimes they have more than one color in the same thing, like our orange one here, which had a couple colors, and there's some other ones. I started using the backs of some of them, so it's getting kind of chaotic. All right, this should be mixed enough, and let's just put this in the new dirty cup, I guess. Okay, this is already pretty gross too. Did not mean to do too much of that, but okay. Let's pour a little. And we're gonna go back to our face, and I'm gonna put on the pink on her cheek, mostly focusing, so I guess I don't need a pointer too much, but the cheek blush kind of ends where her eye socket starts, and so, like her inner eye starts. At least on this image. It's basically just on the cheeks here. And then size-wise, it's definitely not as big as her eye, obviously, but it does take up a good portion. So these are pretty large blush cheek ovals. So first, I guess let's see if this is the right color, because if it's not, I'm just gonna wipe it off and then apply some white into here. This should be thick enough where it doesn't just kind of wipe away, but we'll see. I wanted this pink specifically lighter than her mouth cheek blush, so let's see. That's a pretty nice pink. Yeah, let's stick with it for now. I was trying to decide if I wanted it or not. I think that will be good. Oh, okay. I knew it was a little wet. I think I saved that. You gotta turn it just in time. We almost hit the eye that we just mixed. Okay, let's see if I can wipe some of this off. This is why you don't want it too wet. If that had hit the eye center, then it would have wet it immediately from the thinner, and we would have started getting some running. But luckily, I was able to turn it just in time. I have pretty fast reflexes. There we go. So then it's pretty easy. All you need to do is just wipe it up. Yep, there we go. So no problem there. Did you pop in at a crucial moment? Yes. We almost had a blush mishap. My blush, this side was fine, but this other side got a little too runny. Oh, there we go. So it's kind of sinking. You can see it. So this is definitely too wet down here, but up here we're good. So we'll let this kind of sink. I don't remember adding this much thinner in here, but I guess I did. Okay. All right, so let's try that again. This time I'm gonna angle it down here, so sorry if it's a little blurry. Oh yeah, that's much better. Okay, these don't have to be exactly the same, but I do want them kind of close. This might be too dark pink, but then again, it might not be. That pop of pink might be just what we need. I'm actually gonna bring over the cherry blossom so we can compare it, because I really want to make sure that the colors are cohesive. And so, let's see if I can grab the front. I'm also gonna grab the base. It's been a while since we looked at the base in comparison to everything. There we go. Okay. So here's the cherry blossom base that we painted a while ago. You can see it's a pretty striking pink compared to the rest of this figure. The front here, I think that will work. We'll have to see. I feel like it's a little too bright. Yeah, I feel like it's just a slightly too dark shade of pink. So what I'm gonna do is wipe this off again. And let's add some white to this mixture and make it an even lighter tint of pink. I also use Q-tips for wiping off these big ones, but sponge works too. You can see my sponge is already getting pretty gross. I need to like contact my forwarder or something and just ship a bunch of these over. Thankfully, I don't think there's any restrictions on shipping tiny sponge. Okay, all right, so let me put this face up here. We're gonna grab some white. I have a new bottle of enamel white from Gaia Notes. This one is brand spanking new, not contaminated at all. It smells chemically, which I guess means it's new. And we're just gonna mix it up, and I'm gonna dump a few drops in here. It's pretty liquidy compared to the ones I usually deal with. So over time, this stuff does tend to kind of dry up in the pot. You can obviously reactivate it with enamel thinner, but it does get thicker over time. So just kind of FYI, eventually it becomes like this thick paste. You guys have probably seen it with the like stringiness that I've shown on camera. I don't know why I just closed all of that. I might even need it to be lighter than that, but this should lighten it up one or two bits. You can see the color difference here. That's the old color. This is the new one. And there's a lot of paint in here. This is the more white I added, the thicker this is. And there was already a lot of paint in here. So unfortunately, you know, we're not gonna be using all of this. So it's kind of a waste, but if I really like the color, I can just tint it or change it and then make a new skin or new mouth, open mouth color. All right, so let's see how this one looks. Kind of got that old bit. Okay, so this should be a little bit lighter than the one that we just put on and wiped off. Not too much lighter. But I definitely do see a difference compared to the previous one. All right, I think that should be okay for now, but we'll see. There we go. I made this bottom a little bit too wide. We're gonna have to wipe that off for sure. It's not spreading though, so that's good. Let's tilt this. This is a little liquidy, so it potentially might dry a little thinner, which is fine too, because the image almost looks like it's kind of transparent in terms of the blush. So all right, so that looks pretty good for now in terms of like the rough placement of where the cheek blush is. We'll round it out after it dries, kind of like what we've been doing the whole time. This one is a little lower on the cheek, and that's fine. So that means we'll have to kind of curve that one down. So in the meantime, I guess I can continue hopefully working on this eye a little bit just until this blush dries, and then I'll kind of test it and we'll start wiping it once I feel like it's tacky enough. Sometimes all you need is like one tiny bit to wipe off, and then that's it. The eye is good. I'm hoping that will be the case here. And as we turn this, we just obviously want to be careful we're not touching the cheek blush. I still see that kind of small hair. Don't know if I can get it out though. Oops, also white toothpick enamel. Okay. There's still a little bit of unevenness here. This might be the remnants of that pink that we put down. Okay. Now that I know we will not be meeting on next Tuesday, we'll be meeting on Thursday, I don't feel quite as much in a rush to get this out of the way, so that's good. Because the top coating and all of that, finishing the eye and stuff, that does take a little bit of time, so. For those of you who just popped in, I know I'd been saying that we're gonna wrap up next Tuesday. I literally just remembered today, like half an hour ago, that I will not be here on Tuesday, next Tuesday, because I'm going to a concert that I booked like 4 months ago. And I had it in my planner and everything, and I just didn't even connect the dots until 30 minutes ago. So we will be finishing this figure and assembling her next Thursday. I will put out an announcement on Twitter. Alright, I think we're still probably a little bit wet for this blush, but it's getting there. It generally doesn't take these brushed on enamels too long to dry. Especially if you put on a thin layer. I'd say maybe like 10 minutes at most. Depends on how thick you layer it on. I know contrary, there's a lot of information out there actually about enamels and their drying times and their curing times, but with the layers that we're working with and the paints that we're working with, mostly the brands, they do dry quite quickly. You know, it's not like the olden 80s days where these enamels would take 72 hours to cure and all that. They might take longer to cure, but they'll definitely be dry and ready to start wiping and stuff in just a matter of minutes. And if you're airbrushing it, it's even quicker than that. So don't feel like you need to like set down this enamel and then wait, you know, 6 hours for it to dry and then feel like you have to tackle the face. Like you can handle it pretty soon after you lay it down. Just clarifying that specifically because I've gotten questions about it before from people. All right. Let's see. I think another way to check this is also to just touch. Yeah, it's still pretty wet. I can try, but if it's too wet, it's just gonna start running the whole thing, so. No, we're pretty good actually. I think, let me try one more time. I think we're good to start wiping the pink. If it gets too wet, then it just runs. Yeah, we're good. It's tacky enough, I think. So let's switch from the eye we were just working on and start wiping down this blush. So we just want it kind of oblong shaped. It doesn't have to be too big or too small. It's kind of like up to your best judgment, honestly, if you choose to do this method. Another thing that's really popular and what I've done multiple times is instead of painting on blush, you just apply it with pastels. And so there are many pastel varieties available. Some people use, you know, specifically ones meant for ball joint dolls, and there's, you know, Tamiya hobby ones. You can just buy craft pastels. You just want to make sure that they're chalk pastels and not oil pastels, because the materials we're working with here, like I'm not quite sure how the oils will react with the resin. And so I've actually never tried using, you know, oil pastels on my kits, just because of it's the last step and I don't want to mess it up, and I know that chalk pastels work. But if you're willing to experiment, let me know how it goes. I know ball joint dolls, they always say don't use oil pastels on your doll because it will mess with the doll. But here, like, we already have top coats and stuff, so I don't know how that would work. But yeah, so anyway, going back to that, a very common thing to do is to shave off some chalk pastel and then just put it, you know, on the area where you want the blush to be. And it's a very quick method. I believe we actually have done it, you know, before, I think on the Made kit forever ago, maybe. And it's a great way to add a little bit of accent. You could also shade your eyes and other stuff doing that. And so I think what I was gonna do was do some shading around her eye area with the some kind of orangey pastels, but we'll see. Because I purposely tried not to add too much shading on her face. This is also a really small chibi face, and so I wanted a lot of focus on her eye and not on anything else. Alright, I'm gonna try to round this top here just a bit. Might need to set this down, so sorry if it's a little blurry. Once I get the basic shape, I'll bring it back up, but the top, there wasn't too much that I needed to wipe off. It's mostly we're going to be shading from the bottom up, or erasing from the bottom up, sorry. Cut down the size on this. It's a little bit wide, and I don't want it extending out really far past her eye socket. A lot of blush is not there. It's supposed to be like along your cheekbone, and so I tend to try to keep it in that region. Gonna grab the sponge. It's getting a little bit wild here. There we go. Clean that off a little bit. What I do want to do is test this with the hair, but sometimes if you have hair that covers it and you put it right on there, then it scratches off the blush, and so I think I'm gonna wait just a little longer until it's a little bit drier, and then I'll put the hair on top and see the placement of this. Oops, sorry, oh my gosh, I don't know how long it's been out of focus, but Try to not have that happen. And the result here, we want ultimate cuteness. So she's gonna have these round, bubbly blush. She's gonna have these giant sparkle in her eye, etc. All right, that's getting pretty good. Yeah, kitten, you're the ultimate cuteness. Okay, I think I'm gonna start shaping down the other side, and then we can slowly again. This side here, there's on the top here, it's a little bit higher, so lower that just a tad. Okay. All right. Swipe up one more time, and then I think we are good to move to the other side. Sponge strikes yet again. All right, let me look at this real quick under my little, oh yeah, that one's pretty nice. There's one tiny corner in the top right that could probably be smoothed down, but I'm not gonna mess with that right now. So let's move on to the other side and try to get roughly the same position and shape. Once I wipe a little bit of this down, I think I'll be okay to put the hair on so I can compare. Start down here again. And this one, okay. This one extends kind of beyond her cheek, so maybe I should actually start over here. You know, I have so many songs in this playlist, and yet I feel like this one comes up all the time. But kudos to those of you guys who watch my VODs and stick around the whole time, because honestly, I can't even make it through my own VOD. Not that it's like a bad thing or anything, but I'm not the type of person to watch content, and so it's really hard for me to, especially like watching yourself. It's kind of weird, like hearing yourself talk. And so I can't confirm if this is a song that I hear over and over. It just feels like it. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else has like that problem, or if you guys stream at all and then you go to your VOD to process it and stuff. Hearing yourself talk through things is really weird. And your own voice as well. Although, interestingly, after watching my VOD, I know that sometimes it's a thing where you hear, so when you're hearing yourself speak, it sounds like you're in your head, or what you hear is either higher or lower. I don't really have that problem. So like what I hear coming out of my mouth now is what I'm hearing in my VOD. So that's okay. But it's just, I don't know why I brought that up. It still doesn't make it any easier hearing yourself talk, so. And I'm not the most eloquent, so I apologize for that. Sometimes I rant, and sometimes I don't make any sense, and sometimes I don't say anything at all. Okay, this is ending up a little bit more rounded, and so It's this, let's see what's going on here. It's the top, I think. Yeah, there's a more of a gap here between her eye socket and the blush. Again, being careful here. We don't want our paintbrush to hit the middle red of the eye. I've had that happen and it's hurt things. Okay, thank you, Seacrease. At least someone understands, or I don't know. If I'm helping somebody at least, then that's the whole point of these streams, and so I can't complain. And also it's been a great opportunity to paint some kits that I've been wanting to paint for quite a while. This one, ever since I saw her before she was on booth, or even, you know, at the first Wonder Festival, fell in love with this style. This is very much my aesthetic of things I like to paint. Just felt like a calling, right? Like, that's my style, I have to paint it. I have to paint this Whoopie bird. And so then, you know, to my surprise, Whoopie Pie ended up making so many of the line of birds, and she just comes out with more and more. It's really kind of like a dream come true. A lot of times I feel like the sculptors that I like eventually get bought up, or they get commissioned and the rights to their stuff get taken away, because then they start sculpting for PVC. That's a really common thing that seems to happen. And so I'm both happy for Whoopie that she's doing so well with Booth, but if she ends up working for other sculptors, or other companies, she'll be greatly missed. Because there's been some sculptors that I've really liked that have moved on from the GK scene and started sculpting for companies, and that's a lot of times that's the end goal for these people, is to get, you know, their sculpting talents recognized and make a career out of it. But, you know, Garage Kit is where a lot of it starts, so enjoy your sculptors while you have them, because you never know what will happen. They may go on and have great success. I get like that with manga and anime. Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, it really is. Like, also, you know, like, imagine working so hard. A lot of times, you know, you're going to these festivals, you're not breaking even at all. Sometimes if you're lucky, you break even, but a lot of sculptors take a huge loss because it's expensive. Like, going to the travel to going to the festival, you know, paying all the paperwork to get the licensing done. You know, the sculpting process takes time, the casting is expensive. It's a lot of money and time that goes into this, and so we're very lucky, especially now that we have the opportunity to purchase things from these creators directly in Japan. I'm really thankful for that, and more than happy to support, you know, directly. Which reminds me, my TFO kits haven't shipped still, so I'm hoping that goes through soon. I don't know if anyone else is starting to get their TFO orders shipped out. I've seen a couple of my friends start to have it happen, so I'm hoping that my order goes through soon. I got bulk shipping I had to check, so all of them will ship, you know, together at the same time, rather than paying 3 different shipping fees. But I want them now. And I actually still have that Lisa Says kit that I think I showed a while back. That one's sitting in my forwarder's warehouse, and so I hope that the other ones ship soon, because otherwise I might run out of the free storage period. It's another one that's on the list to paint. Okay, what's going on here? I feel like it was so good at the beginning of this stream, but no. Alright, what I'm actually gonna do, I think, is get this kind of wiped and then put on her hair, and let's see where I need to make adjustments. This one is still a little bit, it's like rounder and shorter, so there's some adjustments that need to happen, but depending on how the hair fits, that will kind of guide how we adjust the circles. hoping to order something mid-April after my craft fair. Ooh, yeah. Hopefully that all goes well for you. Now's the time. A lot of people getting into this and ordering. Okay, so what's happening here is the circle on the left here, kind of like the image, gets partially covered up, and so there's not too much we can do about that. That's just how it's gonna be. The other side here, I think this one could extend out a little bit longer, but at the same time, I might just make it a little thinner on the bottom and see what happens. Oops, oh, oops, okay. Well, glad that wasn't there because I just spilled a bunch of enamel. Let's get that cleaned up real quick. This was my dirty cup, so it's fine. Is there anything in particular that you're looking for or wanting to order, Seacrease, in terms of kits? Anything on booth or something that's catching your eye? All right. Let's make this a little bit more oblong and less circular. I don't like it when the circle blush is too big, and so I might cut this side down as well. Gets a little distracting. And it looks less like blush and more just like a weird tattoo or something, so. Hopefully you guys can start to see what she'll finally look like. We're pretty close, you know, all that's really left is the eye shine and maybe one more gradient. So at this point it should be looking, you know, fairly like what you want. Let's see, a few things on booth caught my eye, but I take a good look in April when I know how much money you have. Yeah, that's a big mood. Much smarter than, you know, here's my credit card. I'll deal with this later. I feel you. And I'm also the type, I don't feel comfortable making kit purchases or larger purchases unless I, you know I will have the funds. Only a few exceptions are like the stuff that you have to pre-order, like LEP kits, etc. Because those you can like budget in advance. I also try to keep just some funds in my proxy just in case, because you never know when something will come up on auction. And it's not like the money expires or you're like hit with fees or anything. There's been a couple things on Yahoo Auction that I've, because I started, you know, browsing on there here and there. There's been a couple things I've been watching. Not in terms of me wanting it, but I'm just like curious. A lot of stuff is like going for a lot these days, and it's kind of surprising. There was a holo, so Spice and Wolf holo kit, and it was a chibi kit that was on Yahoo Auctions. There were two of them. One of the kits sold for about the price that I would expect, which was around $150. You know, holo is very popular. The kits don't come up too often. But the other one, I mean, these were not, you know, Mero-chan cuteness kits. This is a much older kit, and it sold for over $500. Sold for like 51,000 yen. I couldn't believe it. And I had put it in my auction watch list because I had a feeling that it would go high. I don't know why. It just seems like holo stuff tends to go high. But it was crazy, like the difference between the two. And so maybe somebody had gotten in a bid war or something with someone and they just kept going and going and going at it. But this kit sold for a lot. And that was like relatively surprising. I didn't think it would go for that much, so that's interesting. Let's see, I only ever put down for 20th anniversary of Revy from Black Lagoon. Well, she's a good waifu. Good character too. Not even waifu, just good character in general, so I can understand that. I don't order too much these days. I used to order a lot more PVC and things like that, but they're so expensive as well these days, and it takes forever to get anything. So it's like, why even bother? Feels bad. I figure I can build it faster than it'll come to me from Japan. All right, let's put this back on. And okay, interesting. So it looks like this one that blushes again a little bit more to the right. Let's see. This one though looks okay. So I think it was mainly this one that was having the issue. What can I do to fix that? Probably not too much with the time we have left. I think it's mostly the bottom. So let's try just kind of tilting this and working on the bottom and making it more oval. Again, we've been making it oval, but now continue that. Let's see, quite the spicy one. I was thinking about getting the bunny version of Albedo. Oh yeah, that one's pretty good too. Forgot, is that the, I get so confused these days. Is it freeing or binding? Like they have so many lines. I'm in figure collecting Discord, so I stay up to date with what's coming out. It's just a matter of like, I don't order anything. I'm not a huge bunny fan, to be honest. Like, all the great things for people who collect bunnies. That's like, you guys are awesome, they're awesome. But I'm just, like, bunnies aren't my thing, so I don't own any of the bunny figures. And if it's not obvious yet, I like to collect small things. And a lot of those bunnies are like quarter scale, so they don't really jive with my whole collection. I think this just is getting smaller and smaller. I don't know if we're gonna end up with anything good tonight, because I'm just like rounding it out, but it's getting smaller. But I like the size of this one more than the other one. So let's see. Sometimes what I also do is I just cover it and look on either side. And then that way I can see what side I like more. I actually do like this side more than the other side. So let's start cutting this side down a little bit more. I know we don't have too much time left tonight, but I do want to work a little more on this. Let's see, I want at least one. They're huge. They're these spicy bunny boy. Ooh, bunny boys. Now you have my attention. Bunny girls, I'm like, whatever. But bunny boys, that's a different matter, huh? I actually do own one bunny boy. I forgot what series he's from. I think it's called like 10 Count. I never seen it. I think it's a BL. I don't follow BL, but the character was like, he's a really sexy bunny boy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Seekers. Like, I ain't gonna complain. So, you know, I'm always down for more kits and characters like that. So, I wish they would have even more. There's not enough of them. And some of the ones that are out there, like, the sculpt is so nice, but the paint job is like not where I want it. And so that's also my problem, is even if I like it, it's not enough for me to order it. But I've seen some very impressive boy bunny collections, and I am envious of people who have all those. I am glad, now that I'm like kind of thinking about it, that male figures are getting more popular now, because when I've been in figure collecting for a very long time, and for the longest time there was basically no figures of men. Like, these types of things, anime figures are for men, and so they would sculpt women, you know, for men. But now there's a lot more equality in the field. There's a lot of female sculptors, and So there's, you know, more male sculpts and other things coming out, and there's more general acceptance, I think, of male characters, and I'm not talking like shonen stuff, because shonen series are kind of their own thing. Like, you could have a million figures from Naruto or One Piece or whatever, but other shows and other like big companies for the longest time didn't really sculpt men, and so, you know, I'm just glad that things are shifting a little and it's easier to buy male figures these days. My collection is PVC mostly, is split between male figures and then like cute characters, cute girls. So I'm glad to have that mix. And also there's a lot of game characters that I like, and so like Tales series and stuff. So I'm glad that they are also they've had merch. Let's see, do I'm so picky with the paint that I would go in and fix it. Yeah, that's my big problem, Seacrease, is the paint job on a lot of PVC, because, you know, as we're painting and as you guys have seen, there are certain things that I like my paint job to have, and a lot of PVC does not have that. Prize figures, forget about it. They won't have shading to a level that I want, and so I just don't order them. And I'm also too lazy to go in and say, I'm gonna go fix all this, you know. Even some of the bigger ones, like Good Smile Company and stuff, they don't do a lot of shading on some of their things. And so, really the only PVC that I buy these days is from companies like Alter. I also really like QuestQ. I feel like they're not talked about too often, mostly because they don't produce too much, and they do a lot of Toho stuff, so if you're not into Toho, then it may not be, you know, for you, but their shading and level of detail is really high quality. I think a lot of people got introduced to them from the Nanachi figure from Made in Abyss that came out, and it was really beautiful, and so hopefully, you know. Oh, and then I'm not even touching the idol figures. You know, there's a lot of really beautiful beautifully shaded idol girl figures. Let's see, nice. I'm trying to grow the boys in my collection. Also, those bunnies were from 10 count, and I'm what? I mean, sure. Yeah. I only have one of the 10 count ones. Okay, there are so many. I have the one, so I think, I don't know, it's the 1/8 line, whatever that one is. And it's the black-haired guy. Yeah, I own that one because he is just really hot. I don't know what else to say it. Yeah, he's just really hot. And he's posing in a way that's like, yeah, look at me. I'm like, all right, dude, go you. I guess he's like the Dom one or whatever. Again, I don't know anything about it. It's an amusing show. I'll have to check it out then, maybe. I'm not like, you know, big on BL. I actually... funny story, like I had a friend in high school and she loved BL, and this is like old school BL, like Yaoi Hands days, and she loved it, and so she would try to get me to be into it and to read it and stuff, and I was like, that's interesting, but it's not for me, and she would just try over and over, and I'd read the stuff and I'd just like feel nothing, and so I don't tend to I don't read it, I don't consume that media, but some of the dudes that come out of it are pretty hot. Yeah, it can be a bit much. I've heard that, you know, there's definitely themes that are in BL that are a little bit more controversial, I think, sometimes compared to other, you know, series and josei and other stuff like that, and so just something to be aware of, I guess. But in general, you know, I think it's fine also to like buy things from a series that you you know, you like the character design of, even if you're not super familiar with the character. I've done that a number of times. Alright, what might happen here? I just keep making this smaller and smaller, and I know we're just kind of talking and chatting and I'm working away at this, but I'm not sure how much I'll stick with this, because because these are two very different shapes at this point. You have this long one and this kind of shorter one. I think I could make this the same size as this, but I definitely can't make this the same size as this anymore, and so I'll just have to make the call. Let's see, it took me a long time to be comfortable with it. My best friend loved it. She would show me all the pretty and spicy boys. Yeah, it's always a friend, right? It's always like a best friend that's into it, and you're like, It is what it is, you know? If you enjoy it, that's awesome. Okay. I'm not hating this side over here. I'm just trying to get it so it's like oblong, because it's kind of having an issue. There we go. I think I got it. Again, sometimes just that one tiny thing. So let's see. Yeah, I honestly kind of like the gap between her hair. It's hard to see. So I kind of like the gap between her hair and the cheek blush. I think that it's very cute. It ends like right where her cheekbone starts. And so this one, I think if I could just shave down the blush a little bit and get it to have that same round shape, then we'll be pretty much good. For reference, here's kind of mostly what it will look like. So we're nearing the end here. Now she looks kind of like a clown though. Like, doesn't it? I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know what feels off either. And maybe that's just still too bright. We sat here for like 45 minutes and painted this, but I'm still not 100% sure. This does happen, you know, so don't be alarmed if it suddenly doesn't look like what you want. They seem a bit too bright. Yeah, I'm thinking that too. Even though we added all that white in there, I still just think it's a little bit too bright, too darker pink compared to, you know, some of the lighter Sakura blossoms here. And these down here, these are the same kind of color range because it's literally just the same color. But even then they're a little darker. I think if it was just a tint or two lighter, then it would be fine. You know what I'm gonna do? Let's just wipe off one side. I'm gonna wipe off this side because this is the one that was okay when it was a little bit longer. And then I'm gonna compare real quick. So this happens, don't worry guys. Even though you may have watched me this whole time, I'm sorry, it happens. So let's wipe it off. There's no worry about it because it will, you know, be fine. There's a little dot here though, I don't know what that's about. You know what I might also do is just skip the, oh there we go. Yeah, it was just a little bit that was stuck. I might skip the circle and just put in some pastel blush. You might be able to do that at the end. Yeah, I think she looks way cuter without it. Like, if I'm being honest, yeah, I don't think the pink cheeks here or the circle is working. I think it would look a lot cuter with just a hint of pastel blush. I think what I will do in that case is I'm gonna continue the eye. Obviously, we can't continue tonight, but once I get that sparkle down, I'll be able to make the final call of whether or not the blush works for this. Because we did change a little bit. But I just think that having that blush is a little too much, and I think the pink circle also detracts from the eyes, which are already pretty bright. Thank you, Meds. Yeah, I'm glad you agree, Seacrease, because I feel that way too. I'm gonna wipe this off. I know we spent so long already on it, but it happens. We change our mind about things, and that's why we do enamel method, is so you could just wipe it off with zero issue. And so, yeah, because now she looks adorable. I think it was just not working. Yeah, but the mouth color is perfect. So, you know, as usual, I'm really happy with this pre-mixed mouth color. There's nothing wrong with that. So I guess we are now past 10 and there's not much more we can do tonight because I don't think I'm gonna mess with that circle blush anymore. So what I will do, and just to kind of quickly recap, I am going to finish up her eyes and basically finish this whole face. We are going to top coat everything and get it all ready for assembly. Trial and error is all in path to success. Yes, indeed. There's a lot of things you don't know unless you just go at it and try something. And that's what we did. And so, yeah, so what I'm going to do is finish all this. I'm going to top coat it. She won't be glossy anymore. Next time we meet, she will be all ready to assemble. And we will dedicate Thursday to gluing and assembling this figure and putting her together. That's all we're gonna do on next Thursday, which will be March. Is it March anymore? Jesus. Yes, last day of March, March 31st. So we will finish just in time for spring. Oh, phew, made it. We did say Tuesday, but it's not gonna happen. So I will again send out something on Twitter about it. Yeah, she's ready. She's here. It's gonna happen. Thank you so much, though, for those of you who stuck around and who watched me this whole time. And I hope to see you all next Thursday where we finally complete Mero-chan. It's been so long. I'm so excited to get her done. I can't wait to see her built because she's going to just look so gorgeous. And so hope you guys can make it. Thanks again for watching tonight. And I hope you all have a fantastic weekend and rest of the work week coming up. So talk to you guys soon. Have a good night. See you later.